Welcome to another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. This is a podcast dedicated to educating and empowering women from preconception, pregnancy, birth, and through early motherhood on wellness lifestyle. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton. I'm a maternity pediatric chiropractor and mother who has hand-selected experts in natural holistic healthcare specialties to shine light on options and choices during this exciting phase of a woman's life. And today's episode focuses on understanding about teas and safety for both mothers and babies. And I brought in tea expert Jenny Se to talk more about that. Jenny was born in Hong Kong, but raised in Fairbanks, Alaska. She spent her summers selling her mother's vegetables at the local farmers market, was very active in the local community. Her vision for sipping streams began the summer of 2004 when she began to notice how tea brought different people together. Traveling to different tea farms in China encouraged her to talk about tea in her local community. Se is a certified tea specialist. Her custom hand blends and specialty teas have won multiple awards and multiple different competitions in North America as well as globally. She focuses on high-quality organic loose-leaf tea, tea education, and her company has a specialty tea shop. For more information, check out her website at sippingstreams.com. Hi, Jenny. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me today.
So you own a company called Sipping Streams, and you're based in Alaska, and you're very passionate about bringing tea culture essentially to the world and really educating the rest of us about the power of tea. So I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because my background is in health and wellness, and I wasn't a tea drinker growing up. So it's very interesting because most people think, well, because I'm Chinese and I'm an immigrant, that I grew up drinking tea, but I actually immigrated to Alaska when I was a baby. And so I grew up here in Alaska, and I was a coffee drinker since I was a kid. I just drank black coffee since I was.
Wow. And I am assuming your parents did too.
Just my dad. My mom drinks hot water. It's very Asian. It's like, oh, I don't drink tea. I don't drink anything, just hot water. And my parents I'm their eldest child. So, like most parents, like you don't know what to do with your first child. Like after you have a kid and you think you are going to be okay and you're like, I don't know, am I doing things right? Am I doing things wrong? So they were very much go with the flow parents growing up. Like I didn't have any rules, which you would think, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. But in Chinese culture, it's very much about saving face and bringing shame to the family. So you avoid that at all costs. So even though there's no spoken hard rules, curfew, or anything, it's like you represent the family name,
So I would say that sounds like cultural roles as opposed to like direct from your parents, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly. So yeah, I've been drinking coffee since I was 4, just black coffee. I'm lactose intolerant. Well, I didn't know I was lactose intolerant till my senior year of high school, which explained a lot of reasons why I didn't like having cereal or milk, or I was always feeling sick. So I didn't put any milk or cream or anything in my coffee because it would make me feel sick. So yeah.
Did it make you, as a child, hyper or stunt your growth?
I tell people it's probably why I'm so short. I'm only 4'9". I'm actually like an inch or two shorter than my parents. I'm the shortest one out of all of my cousins. The only person who was shorter than me was my grandmother, who was like, I think she shrunk though, because she was up to my nose and she passed when she was 101. So I am the shortest out of all of the extended family. Maybe it stunted my growth. I don't know. It could be so many things.
Well, there's definitely some genetics involved there too.
Yeah, our family's pretty small. And I wasn't hyper as a kid. Maybe because of the cultural pressures of like listening, being quiet. You can't be quiet. You're not going anywhere, right? Kind of thing. It's not like we didn't have like hard discipline. Like we had spankings and stuff, but I was a really naughty kid. And I don't think it was because and when I say naughty, nowadays when I talk to, because I also used to be an educator, I was like 10 times more of an angel than like most kids who are like naughty, who have like behavioral issues. Mine was like, I wasn't traditionally Chinese enough. Like I was always pushing boundaries and doing
a rebel.
Yeah, kind of like a rebel, but I wasn't ever like did anything terrible. And just that defiance, it's not Chinese-ish. Like you don't defy your parents.
Well, communism like squashes that, right?
Yeah.
They're not into defiant people.
No, not making waves, not making your own way. This is the way things are. Don't rock the boat. So, but yeah, coffee didn't actually like make me super, I didn't know it had tons of caffeine in it. But when you
probably didn't have large amounts either, I'm assuming.
Oh no, I think I only had like 1 cup a week.
Yeah, exactly. So enough about coffee. Let's talk about, you weren't raised with drinking tea. You didn't see, which is interesting. I don't know if your grandmother was around you when you were growing up in Alaska, but who introduced you to tea and your passion for tea?
So my last year of college, I was graduating from athletic training, which is sports medicine, and physical education. So it was a double major. And I was drinking my quad venti soy inverted caramel macchiato every day. That cost $5.26. And
non-dairy, obviously.
Non-dairy. So yeah, it was soy. And nowadays you have all these other milk alternatives. But so then I would sit in the coffee shop and I'd study and I'd drink my beverage. Then I realized, okay, I have to pay student loans back. This is my last year of college. I got to pick the cheapest thing on the menu. Like, right? Because I got to pay these loans of all these drinks that I bought. And it was tea. So I started drinking tea. And when my friends would pass by and see me sitting there with a cup of tea, they'd be very curious. They're like, oh, are you drinking tea because you're a trainer? Oh, I heard it's so healthy for you. Doesn't it cure cancer? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm literally drinking tea because it's the cheapest item on the menu.
That was a financial decision. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was cheaper than a bottle of water. So it was like maybe $1 or something like that at the time. And so being someone in the health and wellness industry, and then also going in to teaching with the teacher mentality, the mindset that I had was like, oh, if people are asking me questions, I better find out so I can tell them. So I'd go to the library and study different like rehab techniques or whatever in these different medical publications. And sometimes there was case studies on tea. So I'd read the whole case study so I could understand what was going on and so that I could share it with my friends. So I would say, I don't know if it cures cancer, but in this one case study for men in northern Scandinavia, about 45 to 65 years old, there's a correlation, possibly because of lifestyle. People who drink 3 cups of tea a day have less incidences of accidents, car accidents, cardiovascular incidences, injury. And I'm like, it said nothing about cancer or anything else, but it's kind of hinting at the lifestyle of a tea drinker. And so that's kind of how I got started. My grandfather, turned out, the more that I drank tea, the more I realized that tea was in my upbringing, but very subtle in the background. So grandfather, who would live with us for like maybe a summer, like every other summer or something like that, with my grandmother, they would do this weird Chinese exercise in front of the TV. Turned out to be Tai Chi. And then my grandfather did this weird thing with all these like clay pots and stuff like that. Turned out to be the Chinese tea ceremony. So he had tea every morning, even though my sister and I had no clue what he was doing. It was that weird grandpa thing, like moving cups and pots, and I don't know what it is. Because we didn't know if it was alcohol or not. Because our parents also drink like sake and other things. And so we just don't ask. If the adults don't offer it to you, then you just, you move on with your day. So later on, as I was studying more about Chinese teas, different teas that are out there in categories of tea, I tasted one that tasted just like my grandfather's tea, because just like the coffee thing, where I started drinking when I was 4 years old, one day when I was a kid, my sister was like, I dare you to drink that weird thing that grandpa makes every morning. And I was like, okay. And so I was drinking tea at a young age when my grandfather would stay with us, even though I didn't know it was called tea. So the very first tea that I experienced was actually his tea. And years later in college and post-college, when I was drinking different teas, I realized by tasting, like coming upon that flavor, like, hey, that's the same thing that was in my grandpa's cup or his pot thing. So I would drink tea every now and then, but I had no idea my whole childhood I was drinking tea.
Okay. And this was black tea?
Oh, no, it was an oolong tea.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Onion oolong.
Oh, did you, like, once you were a little older, did you ask your grandfather about tea? Did you learn anything about the ceremony and culture from him?
No, unfortunately, he already passed.
Oh.
So this was like, so my tea journey was like discovering tea, making correlations with when I was younger, understanding myself through tea education, and learning about my cultural heritage through tea education because nobody taught me about tea. I was more along the lines of self-taught. I took some correspondence tea classes because back then it wasn't virtual tea classes. Like I ordered a class and it was all done correspondence. And then I visited tea farms in China, and that's when I was starting to realize more of my family heritage, where they're from. The very first tea farms I visited was not planned to go visit where my family was from. I actually didn't know where in China my dad's side of the family was from because they fled during the Japanese invasion. And so when I organized my own trip to go there on my own, my mom asked me at the last minute where I was going. I showed her on a map and she goes, that's where your father is from. Like your grandparents' side is from there. So it was very unique because the more I learned about tea, the more I was discovering more about my heritage. And so that's how I got into tea. It wasn't because my family taught me anything about tea. It was more of my own self-discovery, learning about tea, and then learning more about where tea is from and my cultural heritage through that way.
Wow. And your parents also, since they weren't tea drinkers, they didn't really have a lot to share, it sounds like.
No, my dad is like a coffee drinker.
Right, right. And what about your grandmother? She didn't drink coffee? I mean, sorry, tea?
She did drink tea, but we would only see it for like fancy meals, like dim sum. My parents were professional chefs. So when we went out to like fancy restaurants or Chinese banquet style meals, then tea was always there or dim sum. But at home, like during lunch and dinner, they didn't drink tea. They didn't drink water. They didn't drink anything, really.
Okay. So it's interesting. So you went on this discovery, you went to China, you learned about tea, you learned about the ancient history of tea. And it sounds like that was your passion and you found your purpose from that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was very strange roundabout way, but yes.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit. I know today's topic we wanted to focus. Now we understand that you love tea and you love sharing about teas. Let's talk about safe tea for mothers and babies and what you have to educate the community on around drinking tea.
Yeah, so teas that I highly recommend. So when I talk about tea, I'm talking about the Camellia sinensis plant, the evergreen tree plant that it has caffeine, it has L-theanine, and it has components that help with circulation. It has components that are helping with opening up the bronchioles, different alkalines in it, different flavonoids, polyphenols, which are like antioxidants. So when I traditionally use the word tea, I'm talking about this evergreen tree that makes white, green, oolong, black, and pu'er tea. That's all made from one plant, all those varieties of tea. But then when you're thinking about herbal teas, right? Herbal teas are not from that. Herbal teas is like anything you steep in hot water. But however, for some reason, if you're going to stick anything that you infuse in hot water, then why don't you put coffee in that category too, right? So in traditional tea vocabulary, tea is that traditional green leafy plant That's been changed into all those categories. Or then there's the herbals, or in French it's called tisane, which means herbal infusion. And that's where you have chamomile, peppermint, rooibos, and usually yerba mate is lumped into there, even though yerba mate actually has caffeine. So there's herbals that would be usually caffeine free. And then but now people are lumping mushrooms into that too. So when you think about it, it's very hard to pick out the health benefits of herbal tea, quote unquote, because it's literally anything that you steeped. I mean, it could be parsley, like some people, I remember when Dr. Oz was promoting parsley tea, and I'm like, parsley is a produce that you could just go buy in the produce aisle, and you should probably just chew on some of that, and you're going to get all the health benefits of it. So when I talk about teas that are safe, usually the ones that I like to choose the most is rooibos. Rooibos is a plant only grown in South Africa, only cultivated in South Africa. It used to be only wild harvested. It kind of looks like a sagebrush bush with a long, deep taproot because of the harsh conditions of South Africa, which makes it extremely hardy. And so any benefits you get out of it are very potent. It's caffeine free. It's safe for babies. It helps with inflammation. It helps with decreasing any sort of like allergic reaction, a rash. You could put it on your skin. I've put it on mosquito bites here in Alaska. It stops the itching. We even have a lip balm that helps with reversing the damage of your dry, cracked lips. Not just healing and soothing it, but actually helping reverse the damage of it because it's bringing down the inflammation on contact. So rooibos is the number one most popular and safe herbal tea I would recommend for women who are pregnant, especially if you've just had a baby, right? Because you have so much inflammation going on in your body. You can even put it your body, right? Like I said, it help with rashes, cuts, scrapes, bruises, because it helps with decreasing the inflammation. If I have canker sores, I just kind of put it in my mouth, and it can even be hot. Normally heat aggravates things, right? Increases the metabolic process, makes everything more inflamed when you put heat on it right away when there's damage. Well, rooibos, it's so powerful, even on my canker sores, it will instantly numb it. So if you got a sore throat, it's great for that. It's great for babies who are teething, sore gums and such like that. So rooibos.
I want to ask you, how do you usually do it topically outside of your mouth? Do you put it on a little cotton pad and dab it on a mosquito bite or?
Oh, so I'll make a tea bag, with a filter, right?
And you put the tea bag on.
Just put it straight on, or a washcloth, whatever I got, I just stick it right on. Yeah.
Oh.
Because I'm making the tea anyways, and then I'll drink it because it helps with my body inside.
Internally, so you can use it internally and externally.
Exactly. It was super, super popular, especially among South Africans for hundreds of years, for helping with women and babies and children, as long as you aren't allergic to the rooibos plant. It acts as a natural antihistamine, so it alleviates allergies too.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, so it's just very, very powerful, unless you happen to be allergic to rooibos, which is not very common. There are some people who don't know that they're allergic to rooibos, but if you, just like anything that's overdose.
What's in the family? I do know some people that are allergic to flowering plants or chamomile, but that wouldn't necessarily put the rooibos in the same category, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what rooibos's family is. Oh, it says, I just looked it up right now. It's, I'm not sure if this is right or not. You might have to look it up.
Okay. But in other words, It's really safe for most people. And obviously with babies and children, you have the water is not too hot, right? You can have it lukewarm.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's great iced too. So
iced.
It tastes naturally sweet. So you don't have to add any sugar to it. I don't add any
honey or
anything to
anything.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a natural slight honey-like taste to it. Now, if you're used to sweet tea or adding honey to everything, obviously it's not going to taste like that. You're going to have to like
Right.
slowly acclimate your taste buds, right? Have less sugar, but it's nice because it has a hint of sweetness already to it.
Wow. And it's interesting that it is not from China.
Nope. It can't be grown anywhere. So far, no one's grown it outside of as in like something that you can make into a tea, like an herbal tea, outside of South Africa.
Wow, that's fascinating. So let's talk about some other herbal teas that are great for moms and babies.
So other herbal teas that would be great for moms, especially, but are safe for babies, right? Because what you give to mom could be passed on to baby, would be things like rose hips, right? Rose hips have been very popular, that they're high in vitamin C. They can possibly help with the uterus and healing and the muscle contractions there too, especially if you're getting ready to have a baby. So rose of any sort, rose petals, rose hips. And then another one is hibiscus. And hibiscus is super like tangy and tart. That's
I
because
love
it's got a lot of-
hibiscus.
Yeah. We have a special blend that we make here at Sipping Streams called the Midnight Sun Herbal Blend. It's completely caffeine free, and the ingredients are rose petals, rose hips, hibiscus, orange peels, and lemon peels. Super, super high in vitamin C. And vitamin C is important for those of you who don't know for cellular regeneration.
Antioxidant.
So if you're having a baby, you're producing a lot of cells. You want them to be healthy cells. And then while the baby's growing, you get same thing, hot or cold. You can have it hot or cold. So for you or the baby, as long as you're not allergic to citrus or to roses, you just want to be careful because sometimes when kids are young, you want to be careful about introducing certain flowers, certain pollens. So, but the rose hips usually are pretty okay for the most part.
Yeah. And I also remember when my son was a baby, there was a baby food book, and chamomile tea was recommended for like just like a relaxing or calming a baby who was maybe a little bit fussy.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing though, you have to realize for some moms, very, very few incidences of this, but if it's chamomile and it's a potent chamomile, it can act as a blood thinner. So just be careful. I had learned that in pharmacology in college. And so if you have
you mean like if it's right after you've given birth and you're still bleeding, that might not be the right time to have chamomile.
Yeah.
What about red raspberry leaf? That's a big one, I think, at the end of pregnancy to help tone the uterus.
Right before pregnant, like right before you're going to have the baby, and then after too.
Yes. For tonification.
And now when you're drinking this, I know not everyone has a gram scale, but the technical amount of ingredients you put into a cup of tea should be 2.5 grams. And things like raspberry leaf are really fluffy. Things like rose petals are really fluffy. And so most of the time when you're going to the grocery store, I challenge you to look at the box on the information on the box. How much is the weight inside the tea bag? So most of the time, the paper tea bags, that have a little staple on them, are not the best quality, nor do they have the right amount of tea in the serving. They actually cut corners by putting a lower grade tea. So it has a faster extraction rate, tastes strong faster, but you can't re-steep it 4 times. And good quality teas and tisanes are meant to be re-infused up to 4 times, and they should be 2.5 grams. So sometimes in the bag, it's only like a gram. And so if you're wanting it for potency, for medicinal properties, you'll have to put like 2 or 3 in your
Got it. Okay. That's good to know. And then also then there's the benefits of like loose leaf tea, right?
Yeah, so loose leaf tea, you can usually control it better. And because it's loose leaf and larger particles, like if you tear open like your regular grocery store tea bag of whatever it is, look at the particle size. It's kind of like quality of spices, or even people like with their salts, like they're grinding their salts up because it's keeping the well, not salts, but different herbs like the essential oils and the nutrients are more intact in whole ingredients versus leftover ingredients. So the benefit of loose leaf tea is you can see the particle size right then and there. And because it's such large pieces, it has more density within that thing versus surface area that's going to break down the nutritional, the flavors, the aromas, by oxidation. So the smaller the particle size, the faster it oxidizes, which isn't always, the best thing for quality.
Yeah. So oxidation, that's just like going to be therefore less antioxidant, right? It's going to create oxidation can create inflammation in the body.
Yeah, but in something dry, it's not going to. It's just not as good. Like you've like lost your money's worth, I guess, in oxidation. When you
so it might taste good, but it's not necessarily giving you, like you said, the health benefits that we're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. So for those of you who are foodies listening out there, you're like, oh, that totally makes sense. Like fresh stuff versus like dried stuff. There's like the stages of how food is processed, but teas are all dried because of transportation, storage, and shelf life. But those larger particle things are going to be much more nutritious than the tiny leftover pieces. And that's actually how it's sold. The tiny pieces are the leftovers, and they're sold at a cheaper price. And that's why it's less expensive.
Yeah, I can see the quality is, you pay for what you get. So I'm interested in learning about, like, you grow tea now, right, at your farm?
Yeah.
I'm assuming because you're in Alaska, you're in a greenhouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a high tunnel. It's got 2 layers with air exchanging, like warm geothermal air. So it's completely sustainable. The electricity is off of geothermal energy. The water is from the natural hot springs there. Like so it has this like amazing, like minerally rich flavor because it's being watered by hot springs water.
Wow.
It's the soil is warmed underneath the ground because there's pipes where the hot springs water is piped through to keep the soil warm. And it's a permanent high tunnel greenhouse, kind of like one of those big arch things. It's about 50 feet long. And then in the summertime, because it gets too hot, it actually can get too hot for tea plants, we roll up the sides and there's good airflow in the summertime. And then where we live, it's 24 hours of sunlight in the summertime. So there's plenty of light. The tea plants love growing. They bolt like really far because there's just so much light, sunlight.
Can you grow it like in the wintertime as well? Or is it just like certain cycle? Oh, so you can just keep planting and growing and harvesting. Obviously organic, right? No pesticides used.
Correct. Yeah, we use bugs. Like we had just introduced some predatory bugs to eat the other like spider mites and stuff like that. So we like use insect control. It's not time for ladybugs yet. But soon, like in the summertime, then we'll introduce ladybugs because then the walls of the greenhouse are open and there's all kinds of, things going through. But yeah, it's tea is actually like a green leafy plant is an evergreen tree. So it needs to be up year round, and then you're harvesting the fresh growth off of it. And it's grown year round. And so in the wintertime, we have these LED grow lights on them about like 6 hours at a time when it's like, 24 hours of darkness. But yeah, right now we're past spring equinox. So we have over 12 hours of sunlight.
Wow.
Like it's almost like I have maybe, because I don't have any shades on my windows. So it's maybe I have like 7 hours where there's no light right now, or 7, 8 hours that I notice. Because even like dusk, I'm like, is this light actually going to go away? But it's just a different place at our latitude.
Is that similar latitude to China or like a northern part of China?
Oh, no, it'd be like Russia.
Russia, got it. North of that.
Or Scotland or like Finland.
Iceland, yeah, like that. So you're up there. So this is probably not a traditional place to grow tea, correct?
Oh, yeah, no, by no means.
But you made it work with technology.
Yeah, I started growing them in my house and then like in my bathroom. Because you can have them as a potted plant, but then when they start to get too big, you have to transfer into a bigger pot because it's a tree. But then in order to make more, we needed a greenhouse. And so we partnered with Chino Hot Springs Resort, which is world famous for their hot springs resort and their geothermal tours and their 4 greenhouses, which make the resort all sustainable for the staff's produce year-round and for the restaurant.
Oh, that is so cool. And then that's where you created a tea house and you ship your teas to the US only, or is it international?
Oh, it's all over the world. We've got orders from Switzerland, Germany, Norway, Canada. I think I'm shipping some tea to Turkey next week. So yeah, we ship anywhere in the world.
So when somebody puts a tea order in, is that when how soon from the harvest to the shipment? Like how fresh is it?
Oh, so it's not going to be that fresh. Usually tea's probably been picked like 6 months ago.
Oh, interesting.
They're just stored. So
when you pick it, then you have to dry it. What's that drying process look like?
So you pick it, you wither it. That will take a day at least. Then you roll it and kind of like let it sit out, depending on the type of tea that's going to be. And then, which gets it to be tight, right? You're keeping the leaf for storage. Otherwise, if there was these big leaves and it dried, it'd get really crunchy really easily, like stuff would smush it.
Right.
So then we roll it, and then, and then we dry it again. Like we dry it, like a dehydrator. So that would be 2 days to make the tea from picking it. But it's not like we're staying there the whole time working on. It's kind of like when you're baking and you put your cookies in the oven. You're not going to stare at them the whole time. You just kind of let it do its thing. So we pick the tea leaves and we let them sit out until they become limpy, like your lettuce from your garden. If you left it on your kitchen table and it becomes really limpy, that's what we're waiting for it to do. So it softens so we can shake the leaves.
And then once it's dried, you have to like chop it. Like, what do you do to break it up?
Oh, no. That you don't want to chop it. The shaping is where you want it. Usually teas that look kind of chopped up are like the leftovers. So
tell me about how you roll the leaf. I don't understand that part.
Oh, I literally just take, I have a silicone baking mat, and I just take my fingers, and I just roll it. Like you're making like these little snakes, like in preschool. Like, I just roll it into like this long, skinny, like a snake that you do with Play-Doh for,
and then it goes in the dehydrator.
Yep. And there are these tiny, thin strands, and we just dehydrate them until they're dried all the way through, because we wouldn't want them to mold, right? If they weren't dried all the way through, because now they're dense in the middle. So we need to make sure that they're thoroughly dried. Other things and techniques that we use are we have a freeze dryer. So with our Alaskan peony flowers or our blueberries, our fireweed flowers, we can put them in the freeze dryer. So they dry really fast. But they also become very brittle because they're so dry. Like a lot of its moisture is taken out. So we have dehydrators that we've built, or we have a freeze dryer. And it's just, we do them in different ways depending on the effect that we're wanting the blend to be.
Interesting. And these are all hand rolled. You have like a team rolling these leaves. There's no machines involved.
So our tea leaves, so not all of our tea leaves are from our tea farm, but the ones that we do, I'm the one hand rolling them all.
What? You roll them all?
I was just like, I don't know. I find it kind of like relaxing. Some people knit and crochet. Some people like washing dishes or cleaning. I'd rather sit there and just be like rolling little. I like
Jenny, I can see how that's meditative. I mean, there's something to be said, right? You get very still in your mind.
And all you're doing is focusing on one thing, and you're like, oh, okay, just roll a little bit more. Or traditionally, all over the world, this is why mostly like women will hand roll the tea leaves, is that they will chat with their friends. They're just having fun. It's like a social event, relaxing, and you're doing the same thing over and over again, just like the women who are out in the tea fields picking tea. There's usually the men are working in the factory, moving the huge masses of the tea from one place to the next, or like the machinery and stuff. And it's not like a hierarchy of like gender, like inequality. It's what actually they prefer. Like when I've visited tea farms all over the world, women are like, I like hanging out with my friends in the tea farm. I get fresh air. I'm just chit-chatting, picking this stuff. And so it's not like, oh, men have to do this and women aren't allowed to do this. It's what they prefer to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like, yeah, women are social and, they have a lot to share. And men, typically are the ones that like to move the heavy things from one place to another.
Yep, that's how my husband is. He's like, just give me like the non-talking stuff.
That's hilarious. Well, Jenny, do you have any last thoughts you want to share with the audience about tea?
Yeah, if you guys are interested in learning more about tea, you can check out my website, sippingstreams.com. And if you want a free digital book of my book that I wrote that's about the health benefits of tea and where tea is from, and you just want to have that as a reference, you can go to sippingstreams.com/my book to sign up for a digital free copy that will be emailed to you. It's got pictures in it and everything. Way better than the actual physical book because the physical book's only black and white, but the digital book is all in color, so you can tell like the differences of the quality of the tea that I'm talking about with the different cutting sizes and such. But yeah.
Oh, very cool. And I think, this is fun to like learn more about and this is something that you can introduce to your kids. I know when my son was starting off at a forest school, they would have tea parties. And this was when he was like a year and a half. So then we continue that at home with little teacups and, tea parties are fun for kids to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I certainly learned a lot about teas from Jenny today, and especially how teas can be used in so many different ways and generally are extremely safe, including for breastfeeding moms, pregnant moms, and infants. And I think that's really important to know that there's so many uses, both medicinally as well as just general overall health, wellness, and connection that can come from enjoying a cup of tea.